The TV series From is about a nightmarish town where its residents try to fight for a life of normalcy while trying to escape. They must deal with the nightmares of the surrounding forest and the creatures that live there that come out at night to destroy and kill them. Series 3 has just finished, and I think it's an underwatched show that deserves a lot more attention. So we'll discuss it today. Hopefully, it's something you guys can enjoy.
I've missed you so much.
Megan, what are you doing?
You don't look like my grandma.
She's not your grandma.
I'm so lonely.
Baby, please just...
Maybe I can come in.
Megan, no!
From is an interesting series. It's one of those series, much like something that I covered before, M. Night Shyamalan's Servant, where you don't hear a lot of hype about it. You never see much about it, but it persists. It keeps getting renewed season after season. As mentioned, season 3 has just finished on such a cliffhanger that people who are fans are definitely going to come back for part 4. The main premise of the show starts off with a family, two adults and two children, and they're going down on a simple road trip and they get stopped by a fallen tree. Now they veer off the road and they end up in the town, which is really the main location for the entire series from season 1 up to season 3 so far. When they get there, they meet Harold Perrineau, who's actually from Lost, and this television show, the creators of Lost created this TV show. Apart from Damon Lindelof, I don't think he's involved. If he is, it's probably as a producer. But that's the premise of the story. When they get there, the people are always, the current people that live in the village, they're always shocked to see someone who gets in, but they know they're never going to be able to get out, and they know that each individual person that arrives in this village, they have to explain why they can't leave. Now, as the story goes on, no one knows why they can't leave. They're always searching for a way out, and the series drip feeds clues, but those clues are always so ambiguous that it leads to other clues that are equally as ambiguous. So I can understand maybe why it hasn't hit the masses just yet. I do know it has a cult following, but again, it's not something you see a lot about. Harold Perrineau's character, he plays the self-elected sheriff. Boyd is his name. But once he explains to the family who've just arrived what happens at night, the family find it even harder to believe, as anyone would. When the night comes, creatures come out of the woods that have not been established yet what they are. They look like normal people, but whenever you get up close and they try to lure you out, but they've got this like uncanny, happy, smiley face about them. But once they lure you out, they turn into these terrifying creatures that at first you think are maybe vampires, but I believe there's something darker and more sinister going on here. The series does take a turn in season 2. Now, when season 2 kicks in, it does add much more mystery to what was originally the central premise of just these creatures. It starts to add why these people might be in this village, why they may be unable to leave. The setting is excellent, the cast are all excellent, really, really well played. Harold Perrineau's a solid actor, but here he's given the opportunity of a lead performance, which I don't think he's really had in the past. I know he's normally had like bit performances and showed up in maybe some of the Matrix films. And even in Lost, his character, while integral to the plot, was really a secondary character to Jack and Sawyer and the main players. But here he brings a real strength, but also a real sense of trying to keep his sanity amongst this craziness of what's going on. He also has a son who lives up with the part of the colony. There's a big house on the hill, and he lives up on that house on the hill, and he's, at first it seems like he's got a fractured relationship with his son, but as the series goes on, the sort of mend fences, and his son comes around to his dad's way of thinking. Various characters get bumped off, they get fucking killed when you don't want them to get killed, and this is what the show does to keep you on your toes. A lot of television shows have twists and turns, but this has really unexpected twists and turns. people who you think are going to be integral to the story. And again, not mentioning any names, because if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil the excitement. They get killed left, right, and fucking centre. It's like, oh, I really love them, dead. Oh, they're going to be integral, dead. It's so unexpected, and it's something that you really get into the characters themselves, and they get bumped off, and you have to keep watching to find out why. It's a TV series that I think will probably run on for several seasons until its conclusion. A lot of TV shows you see nowadays, specifically on Netflix, this isn't on Netflix, I think it's a MGM, Paramount sort of production, so it's not on Netflix, so other companies aren't as quick to axe their TV shows, but I think this has been gaining quite a following, and hopefully it will stay the course until it reaches natural conclusion. Season 3 ramps things up even more, where some of the characters manage, without saying who, but they actually manage to escape the village. And this is where it becomes apparent that certain people that are there are meant to be there. Now, there's hints that some characters have PTSD, and you sort of start thinking, oh, is this all in their heads? But I don't think that's the case. I think that would be a bit of a cop-out if they go on to do that. But I believe that what they're doing now with the characterizations, and you're starting to pick up who's important and who isn't, maybe by the deaths of those characters who you thought were integral, but transpire not to be. Certainly not up to this point. I mean, they might come back, fuck knows. There's a load of mad bastard creatures out in the forest, so who knows, maybe they will come back. But it's definitely a show I'd recommend, and it's definitely something you should stick with. If you find these type of, people call them slow burn, and slow burn to me is it's something where not really a lot happens. A lot happens but it's over a long period of time, so it keeps you engaged. It's never dull, it's never boring. And the series is different enough from Lost, which it's been compared to. Personally, the only real thing is people are stuck somewhere and they can't get away. That's really the only comparison to Lost. Everything else ahead of that is a mystery. And while Lost set the template for these high concept television shows, I truly believe that From has taken that template and made itself into something of its own. It's a great show. It's worth watching. And if you get, like I say, a couple of spare fucking weeks because you'll need it to get through it, I would definitely catch up with it, because season 4 is probably going to hit at the end of this year. So you've still got a bit of time. So maybe a couple of months, not a couple of weeks. But there you go. From. Recommend it. Thanks for watching.
Promise me.